Hi everyone, this is Indu Shakti, Assistant Professor of English in St. Joseph Arts and Science College Autonomous, Kadalur. In this video, we will be discussing Unit 3, Coffee House Life in London, which elaborates the origin of coffee house, the coffee house social life and business transaction, people of different political creeds, religion, beliefs, and profession having separate coffee houses, important coffee houses in the city, and the suppression of coffee houses in the time of French Revolution. First, we shall know the introduction of coffee house. Coffee was probably introduced from Abyssinia into the Arabian Peninsula towards the end of the 15th century. Coffee drinking became common among the Arabians and soon spread to Europe, where coffee houses became popular in the course of 17th century. In the city of London, coffee houses were for the first time introduced in the days of Commonwealth and were very popular for decades. By the beginning of 18th century, that is in the reign of Queen Anne, coffee house was the center of social life in the city. In London alone, there were as many as 500 coffee houses. Macaulay, in his History of England, states that the coffee house was the thing which distinguished the city of London from all other cities of England. He goes on to add that it was something like the Londoner's home. Those who wished to find a particular gentleman usually asked not whether he lived in Fleet Street or Chancery Lane, but whether he frequented the Grecian or the Rainbow. Almost every man of the upper or middle class frequented his favorite coffee house either for mere social contact or to transact business or for both. People of different political creeds, religious beliefs, and professions had their separate coffee houses. Thus, the Tories went to their favorite Cocoa Tree Chocolate House, the Whigs to St. James Coffee House. No doubt, politics was discussed with extraordinary heat and energy by the partisans who gathered in these places. The favorite resort of the learned literary men was the much celebrated Will's Coffee House, which was situated between Covent Garden and Bow Street. Obviously, literary topics like poetic justice or the three classical unities were discussed at their meetings. Animated by hot coffee, and another group discusses the propriety of Paradise Lost being written in rhyme. By about 1685, the most estimated literary genius who visited the coffee house was John Dryden. He was in those days so famous a literary figure that one considered it a privilege to have a seat near him. In winter, Dryden's seat in coffee house was in the warmest nook by the fire, but in summer it was in the balcony. Smoking was common in all the coffee houses, and particularly at Will's. Macaulay points out that the coffee house rooms without expectation incessantly reeked with tobacco. Casual visitors to these centers of social contact sometimes expressed surprise that so many people should leave their own firesides to sit in the midst of eternal smoke and stench. Another coffee house, which was something like a rival to Will's, was Button's Coffee House, which stood in the Russell Street near Covent Garden. It was called so because it was founded by one Mr. Button, an old servant of Joseph Addison. Chief among the literary luminaries who patronized it were Dryden, Addison, Richard, Steele, and Alexander Pope. The Grecian Coffee House, which stood in the Essex Street near the Strand, was patronized by scholars and critics. The doctors of the city had their own favorite coffee houses. Dr. John Radcliffe, the doctor with the largest practice in England towards the end of the Restoration period, used to come to the coffee house named Garraway's. During the fixed hours of his visit, he was very much in demand both by patients and by men of his own profession who wanted to seek his advice. Situated in Change Alley, Cornhill, the coffee house was founded by one Thomas Garraway, a dealer in tea, coffee, and tobacco. This was also the meeting place of the business magnates whose object in coming there was to transact business. The clergy had their own favorite coffee house known as Turbies. There were separate coffee houses for Roman Catholics, Puritans, and Jews. Some of the pious Protestants sincerely believed that the Catholics met in their coffee houses only to conspire against the government. Of course, in most cases, the Catholics were unwillingly sinned against that sinning. A very remarkable thing about the Puritan coffee house was that swearing was totally banned there. Over a cup of coffee, they discussed with interest and at times with anxiety the outcome of the impending election. The Jews, when they met in their coffee house, were chiefly concerned about exploring ways and means of investing their money at the highest possible rates of interest. Thus, the coffee houses played a prominent part in promoting social life in the country. Certain circumstances were responsible for this. Those were days when public meetings and newspapers were unheard. In such circumstances, the only place where people could meet and exchange views on matters of common interest was the coffee house. In a sense, the coffee house can be called the cradle of British democracy, as it was the only place where people of all ranks met and moved freely without any ambition. The coffee houses were centers of free discussion on all things under heaven, particularly politics and religion. Right from the Restoration time, the government was feeling rather uneasy about their popularity. An attempt was made during Danby's administration to close down all the coffee houses, but the outcry against it was so much the government was forced to revoke the prohibition. However, more than a century later, during the French Revolution, the coffee houses became centers of heated discussion against the government's attitude to the revolutionary movement. It had, therefore, no option but to order the closure of all coffee houses in the city. It was only many years after the Napoleonic Wars that the political climate became favorable for the revival of the coffee house in London. Thank you.